Hi everyone, we are here today with a video for you about the loan process. We're the Powell Group, and today we have Peggy Halbrook here with us, who is our in-house lender. Now, the reason we're doing this video, we decided that it's really important to set expectations when you're thinking about buying a house and the process of getting a loan to purchase your house. So it's really important to lay out those expectations so we can have a smooth transaction. So that's our goal of this video today.
Yeah, we're not going to go into real deep into each of the different types of loans that are out there, but we're going to take you from the beginning when you first meet with your loan originator, which would be someone like Peggy, and then that process to your closing.
Right.
So we'll just kind of do the surface of it in this video.
So how do you get started when you want to buy a house and you need a loan?
So the first step is you're going to want to obtain a pre-approval, and that can either be done online or you can actually meet with me in person. I can take the information from you, or I can take it from over the phone, so it's whatever's convenient for you.
We like when our clients meet with a lender in person. That way they can get a dialogue going and make sure they get all the questions answered. So if that's something that you're interested in, we would recommend meeting in person and sitting down face to face talking to your lender.
Yeah, because sometimes what you hear over texting or
Email,
isn't the same thing when you're sitting down one-on-one. So we do like that more personal relationship if you can make time to do that. And it only takes what, Peggy, about not
15,
even
about 15 minutes to get the information. And even if it's easier for you to complete the pre-approval form online, that's something that you could do, and then we could schedule a follow-up meeting for the next day, or say 2 days after, because it only takes about 15 minutes to complete the information online, and then we could set up a time when it's more convenient for you as far as your work schedule to meet face-to-face to answer any questions.
So what type of information, when you, let's just say that we're going to meet with Peggy, what type of information do you need from them at the first meeting?
So what I'm looking for is where you've lived for the last 2 years, of course your personal information, social security number, date of birth. Need to know where you've been employed for the last 2 years. College can be part of that. You don't have to be on a job for 2 years. You just have to have had a work history or college history for that 2 years, as well as the assets that you have available for your down payment.
Okay. And then once you receive all that information, do you go back and plug it all into something, or how does that work?
So then what happens is that goes into an automated system, and then I can come back and give you an idea of what you've qualified for, what your payment amounts are going to be, how much money you're going to need at closing. And at that point, if you're pre-approved, and then the next step is that I would then turn you back over to Samantha or Tina, and you would go find a home.
Okay.
The fun part. All right, let's say that we found the house. You're real excited about it.
Perfect house.
And we won multiple offers and we got the house and you're super stoked. And what's the next steps?
So the next step is you only have so many days per your contract that you have to make formal application. And what that means is that you have contacted me or your lender again. You've gotten your loan locked in, and you have submitted the loan documentation that's required to process your loan. And that documentation is going to be pay stubs, W-2s, possibly tax returns, bank statements, etc. And those have to be turned in a very timely manner, because your process doesn't start until that information is obtained. And we only have so long per your closing, per your contract, to get your closing done. So it's very important that you start that immediately.
And typically that's a 7-day period after you go into contract.
That is correct.
Sam and I will go over that with you during the contract process.
That is correct.
Now, let's say they gave you all of the paperwork that you asked for. Where does that paperwork go, and is it likely that you're going to come back to them and ask for something else?
So once you turn in your information, then at that point it goes to my loan processor. He or she will put that information together in what we call your loan package, and then it is submitted to an underwriter. The underwriter is going to look at your file to make sure that the paperwork you have submitted meets the guidelines depending on what type of loan program that you're going to get. And then she will come back to me once it's reviewed and say if there's any additional documentation that she needs. 9 times out of 10, there's always something additional that we may need. So then I'm going to come back to you and say, okay, here's what I need as far as follow-up. that's where it is so very important that you get that information back to me as soon as possible. Because as all of this process is going on, time is also ticking, and we only have so much time to get this information to ensure that we close on time per your contract for your closing date, so that everybody's happy.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so you're the loan originator.
Right.
That all the paperwork goes to the loan processor. The loan processor tells you what you need, if there's any additional documentation, and you need to get that back as soon as possible to you if
And
there
the
is
underwriter.
additional, or the underwriter.
And that's,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Then once your processor has everything, then what? And say, okay, I've got everything. I don't need to ask them for anything else. Then what happens?
Okay, so once everything has come in and we do not need, before we say we don't need any more information, I want to kind of talk a little bit more about the additional documentation that we may need. And I think it's very important that you understand that the asset piece, or the funds that you're going to use for closing, is probably the most critical besides credit score in the loan process, because there are only certain types of deposits that can be accepted into your bank account. They're going to look very strong at your bank account to make sure that the money that has come into your account is strictly payroll related. If you have any other, say, cash deposits or counter deposits, or even if you're getting a gift from a family member, all of that has to be documented in detail. So it can get very frustrating because of the amount of documentation that is needed. But what is having to be proved is that you haven't borrowed that money. So we have to be able to show in the file, you know that you got a gift and you know where it came from, but someone opening up your file, all they have is that paper to look at to make a decision.
Okay, so if I received a gift from my dad, and my dad gave us the correct bank statements or whatever, but in his bank statement, he had just put that money in there.
So if, depending on what loan product, there is a loan product out there that if your dad was to give you a gift, we have to get a copy of his bank statement. And if he just recently made a deposit right before he wrote you the check, then we're gonna have to source where that money came from. So he's also gonna have to supply us with a source of where he got that money.
So I guess it's important, what you're saying is that we need to be able to track the deposits that are put into accounts.
That is
Okay.
correct, and it's,
Exactly.
that's correct.
And I think bottom line, if you're going to get a gift for a down payment, which is common, we see it often, just make sure you talk to the person that is giving you the gift ahead of time, and that they are prepared to be able to give you those bank statements.
That's correct. The other thing that I would also bring up is the do's and the don'ts. We talked about that
Yes.
a lot lately, and
Once
so
you're in contract, what are you
Correct.
not allowed to do?
So, yeah,
Okay.
so you're in contract, you've done the paperwork, it's been sent into the processor or anywhere in between that time.
do not take out any new debt. So in other words, don't go apply for a credit card, don't go apply for a card, don't get a credit card, don't buy a new car, because what happens is that affects your debt, what's called your debt ratio, which has to do with the amount of monthly payments that you make outgoing versus what your income is. And so at 5 working days prior to closing, we are going to do what is called a soft pull on your credit report, and it's going to reflect if you've had any inquiries from any creditors, if you've increased your balances on your credit cards and now your payment is higher, or if you've incurred any new debt. And that could very well affect your approval and you being able to close on time.
But that doesn't mean like I can't go to the grocery store and charge groceries.
No, you can do your regular grocery and what you normally do, but it's like if you go buy a lawnmower. I know you want to go shop for furniture and a washer and dryer. I understand that because you're buying a new
A
home.
puppy.
Yes, but you just can't.
And somewhat kind of.
Well, here's what I will say. You need to at least contact your lender. It could be that you have a lot of room
Right.
that you can incur new debt and it won't affect you.
I
But
see.
also it could be that you're right, what we call on the bubble with qualifying, and it would affect your approval.
Okay.
So you just need to let us know before you get ready to do that.
It sounds like communication is a big part of
Communication
this.
is
key. Yes.
Communication.
Yep. And I think up front, setting that expectation of communications, how can you get in contact with each other? Is texting, voicemail, email, figure that out ahead of time so you're not frustrated
Right.
during the process.
Right. The other don't is do not change jobs in the middle of the process of your loan. That's very important. So if you're thinking of a career change before, as you're out shopping, I would say from the first time that you meet with like Tina or Samantha, if you know that you've applied for a new job or you're waiting to hear back on a job, you need to disclose that up front so we can give you an idea of what you need to do or what you can't do, because you may have to hold off on that new job, or if you can't hold off on the new job, you may have to hold off on your closing date so that we can make sure that's not going to be an issue.
Yes, that's very important. Okay.
Really.
Good. Anything
Anything
else that
else?
anybody else can think of? I think it's
I don't
good.
think so. We try to make it as smooth as we can. I realize, and you're even going to think this is a lot of information. It is, but just think of what you're going to have once you turn all that in. You're going to have a new home. You're going to be a happy homeowner.
Yep.
That's
So
right.
stick with us. We'll get you through it. It'll be great. And if you have further questions, let us know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.